Am I the butthole for making homemade food for everyone except my brother's stepdaughter? I, 27 female, am not a professional chef, but I have taken a bunch of cooking classes and love making elaborate meals for friends and family. About 2 years ago my brother, Greg, 25 male, married Cheryl, 34 female. Cheryl has a daughter from a previous relationship, Becca, 9F, who has several health conditions, including celiac and a severe dairy allergy that requires her to carry an EpiPen. Last weekend I hosted a dinner at my house for my parents' wedding anniversary. I made a fancy 5-course dinner, and in addition to my parents, I invited 4 close family friends, Greg, Cheryl, and Becca, and my sister, her boyfriend and their twins, both 8M. Because of Becca's food restrictions, I found a restaurant in town that specializes in gluten-free, dairy-free, as well as other allergen-free food, and arranged for them to make a full meal for Becca that I could pick up in advance of the party. I have made a variety of specialty meals in the past, for example, keto meals when my friend was following that diet, and I liked the challenge, but knowing how serious Becca's restrictions were, I didn't trust myself to make her meal. I have ADHD and get easily distracted, and if I even used the wrong spoon or didn't completely wash some flour off a bowl, it could make her incredibly sick. I thought the takeout solution was fine, but when I served the food, I saw Cheryl looking at Becca's plate with a stony face. For her part, Becca started eating and seemed fine. Cheryl whispered to Greg, and Greg asked if he could talk to me in the kitchen. When we got there he said that it was unbelievable that I couldn't be bothered to make something for Becca, that they'd been bragging about what a great cook I am to her, and that he knew I'd made keto, vegan, and other complicated kinds of food in the past. Now she would feel left out because she didn't get to eat what the rest of the family was eating. He said that it was obvious that I didn't care about making his stepdaughter feel like a part of the family, and that they were leaving. Greg, Cheryl and Becca then left, which put a damper on the rest of the party. I felt like I did my best at the time, but in hindsight, I wonder if I should have tried harder to make Becca feel included since she is a relatively new addition to our family. Am I the butthole? For some reason, I read that and felt sad for you. I'm honestly in disbelief you thought you did something wrong. You were incredibly thoughtful in how you handled ensuring she had a meal suitable for her. You have ADHD and are well aware that mistakes are so easily made, so to ensure you didn't seriously put this child's health in danger, you decided the safest option was to contact a restaurant to provide something. I can't stress this enough, you are not the butthole. Not the butthole. If you accidentally made a keto meal wrong, it would upset their diet. It sounds like if you made Becca's meal incorrectly, she could have a major medical issue. You're not wrong for not wanting that stress on you. I thought that was a great solution and honestly thought this was going another way. Other kids wanted takeout lol. Am I the butthole for telling my roommate that speaking a language is not a personality and she needs a new one? I, 19 female, am in my first year of college, living with a roommate, Katie, 19 female. Katie speaks 3 languages, English, German and Spanish, and she makes it her whole personality. Whenever I ask what she's watching something in another language. So obviously I can't watch it. She's always listening to music on her headphones, and when I tried to bond and listen to what she's listening, it's in another language again and I couldn't stand it. Her friends all speak one of the languages she does, and whenever I hear them, I can't join the conversation because they're mixing everything, so I'm left out of their convo. The other day, I saw she had a new book on her desk, Portuguese coursebook. I asked her about this and she said she's taking private Portuguese classes starting February. I told her she has to let it go, that she needs to develop her personality because speaking a language isn't a personality trait and she's just boring. She got really annoyed with me and told me I'm in butthole and to stop eavesdropping on her convos. I told her she's boring and has to fake her personality. Now, she's not speaking to me. My friends are split, some agree with me and some agree with her. Who's the butthole here? Am I the butthole for telling the truth? You're the butthole. Jealousy is not a personality either. You're the butthole, she has a personality. She has friends, interests and hobbies. Just because you don't like her music or can't keep up with her friends doesn't mean those things don't count, it just makes you sound jealous and judgy. Am I the butthole for being disrespectful to my boyfriend's sister? My, 24 female, boyfriend, Zach's, 24 male, mother passed away when he was 11 years old. His father worked a lot, so Zach's older sister, Elise, now 30F, basically became the woman of the house for lack of a better term. She cooked all the meals, cleaned the house, drove Zach to school and other activities, etc. She was extremely parentified and I do feel for her on that front. She went to a local college. Because of all this, Zach and Elise are very close. He has a lot of respect for her. Zach and I have dated for nearly a year. We are very different in terms of backgrounds. He is much more reserved than I am. Before me, he spent a lot of his weekends gaming or just hanging out with a small group of friends. I tend to go out. I work hard all week and want to enjoy the time I have off. Zach is a shy, somewhat nerdy guy, and I do think I've broken him out of his shell a little, pushing him to do things out of his comfort zone. Elise and their father have made several comments about him changing. She's very nice and cordial when we see each other, but she's made several comments about Zach not needing to change who he is. Sunday, Zach invited myself, some of his friends, his dad, sister, brother-in-law and niece over to watch the game. At one point, vacations got brought up. I mentioned I was trying to convince him to go on a 2-day, local cruise with me as he's never been on one. Zach reminded me he's not the biggest fan of boats. I pointed out he's never been on one and we could rent one to take out so he could get used to it. He was somewhat on the fence. Myself and one of his buddies were trying to help him see it's not so bad. Elise butted in and said if he doesn't want to go, then I'm sure you can find something else to do. I said I was pretty sure I could talk him into it. She asked why I would want to go if he really didn't want to. I said of course I would never try to force him to go, but it's just something to think about. She repeated that he doesn't like boats and that I should respect that. I rolled my eyes, not really understanding why she was so adamant on this, and said she needed to relax. She's not his mother, she shouldn't care this much about the situation. Elise was clearly upset by the comment but didn't say anything else. The subject got changed and I thought all was well. A little later, Zach asked for my help getting something out of his room. Once in there, he told me I was out of line for how I spoke to his sister. I said she was the one that was getting up in our business. Zach said that I kept pushing it and got upset when I said, well, clearly she and your dad didn't push you enough to try new things. He said I was being disrespectful and needed to apologize to Elise. I laughed and said no, she needs to butt out. Zach finally asked me to leave. I did, aggravated. I really thought my friends would be on my side, but they said I crossed a line. Am I the butthole? You're the butthole. You're saying I managed to break him out of his shell says a lot here. It seems like you're constantly pushing him to do things he wouldn't necessarily do otherwise, and I think this is not healthy. What's wrong with being shy and not wanting to do some things? Your way isn't the only correct way. And you did push him on this occasion too, and you were being disrespectful to his sister. You're the butthole. 1. Badgering your partner to do things they don't want to do isn't breaking them out of their shell, it's harassing them into submission. 2. You were rude as frick to his sister who was merely sticking up for his interests. I get you want to get him out of his comfort zone, but ganging up on him with his friend trying to get him to do something he doesn't want to do is called bullying. It's you deciding you know what he'll like better than he does and ignoring what he has to say. He's the one who should have spoken up, but likely didn't want to embarrass you by tell you to STFU. His sister stepped in to stop a bully. So yeah, you're the butthole. Am I the butthole for using my wife's fund budget to help out friends and family? I am the breadwinner in our home. My wife has the much tougher job of being a stay-at-home mom and wrangling our offspring. She works hard to make sure we have everything we need. Our budget is pretty simple. We put away about 15% of my earnings every month. Then we pay all the bills. Whatever is left we split and we can use it however we want. I like to use mine to work on my hobbies or treat us to a night out. I pay for the babysitter and whatever activity we do that night. She uses hers to go to a spa or to buy herself pretty things that make her happy. Every once in a while she will ask if we can send money to her family. Not because her family is homeless or anything. They just earn less than we do. Like in November she asked if we could give her brother $500. He wanted to get his kids a PS5 for Christmas. I think that was the last straw. I told her that we could, but it would be the last time that I contributed money to give away to people who just asked her for it. December went fine, but then in January one of her friends had car problems and needed to rent a car to run errands and drive her kids around. My wife gave her money. When she told me about it I said I was proud of her for sticking to our agreement that any money she decided to give away would come from her fund money and not ours. She looked really sour and asked if I was really not going to help her pay for her spa day with her friends. I said yes because I had spent my money on a new drone already. She asked if we could take money from our savings account to pay. I said no because that is for emergencies and household expenses. She is mad at me for not helping her friend. I pointed out that she could have kept her money and driven her friend around on errands and to pick up her kids. She said I was being a jerk and slammed the door. For the record, my kids and I are still playing games on our PS4 and Switch. She gives away our money to be a big shot. I don't have that need. Not the butthole, but your title is way misleading. I thought you sent the money allocated to her, but it was her that did that. She can't keep giving away money and then expect you to bankroll her vanity. Not the butthole. So she's happy to help out her family and friends when it comes out of your pocket, just not hers? Yeah, she's being an off for expecting you to keep on footing the bill. Am I the butthole for dropping out as my brother's best man a couple days before his wedding? My 36 brother, 30, got married this past weekend. I was supposed to be his best man. The wedding was 12 plus because they didn't want to have to deal with toddlers and such, which is fair enough. A lot of guests do have young kids though, so they decided to have a venue nearby with a professional sitter if parents wanted to drop kids off there. My wife has some injuries that make her slow to respond/understand what others are saying, and she needs help sometimes with her food. I'll cut it up into small pieces. This doesn't mean she's nothing, and she's a smart, capable woman. They had the rehearsal dinner. At the end, my sil pulled me aside saying she had to discuss something with me. She said they told us about the additional venue they'll be having for their wedding. I said yes. Then she asked if my wife had any particular food preferences, and they would order extra food for her there. I was extremely confused and told her we already gave our meal choices, but she said my wife would be better suited at the second venue. I remember just sort of staring at her for a bit and asking if she was serious, that she expected my wife to be with the babysitter. Sil said it's not like that and they're just looking out for my wife, and I don't have to feed her or anything and can have fun at the wedding. My brother came over and I told him I've literally never heard such crap, that they think my wife is a child to left with a sitter. Brother said it's for the best and if I want I can always go over and check on her. I told him if this is the way they're treating my wife, I have no desire to be part of their crap show and dropped out as best man. Well, all hell broke loose and some people agreed I was right, but my parents texted, called, everything saying they don't agree with this either but it's their choice, and to get over my ego and come. I didn't end up going. I did hear they got one of the groomsmen to give a speech and overall it was fine, but my brother sent me a text saying he expected better from me. I replied back saying I expected better from him. My sil sent a long ass text that I ruined their big day on purpose and made them look bad. Not the butthole. The ableism and infantilizing of your wife from your sil and brother is disgusting and beyond odd behavior. Not the butthole. Well, your parents are right that it's their choice to be cruel freaking buttholes, but it's also your choice to refuse to support them and their wedding if they won't treat your wife with a basic level of respect. Frick them and their second venue. I hope they had to explain to everyone they know exactly why the best man bailed right before the wedding. Am I the butthole for telling my daughter her brother doesn't have to share with her? My oldest recently started a job as a busboy at a local restaurant after school. He frequently comes home with leftover food and shares with us and his siblings. Sunday he worked a longer shift for extra pay because he didn't have school. He came home and didn't want to do his Sunday chores. He asked his younger siblings to do his chores for him because he was tired. His younger sister said no, that him being tired wasn't her problem. His younger brother agreed to do it. Last night, when he came home, he would only share with his younger brother. His younger sister said that wasn't fair, because she likes the restaurant food. My wife started to tell him to share, but before she could, I told him we need to let the kids work out their own conflicts, as long as everyone is safe, and not get involved. In the end our oldest son didn't share with our daughter, and she was very upset. She refused to eat dinner, saying that the food her mother and I made was gross. My wife said I was in butthole and encouraging our son to dangle the privileges of his age over his siblings' heads. I think it was a good lesson on how doing nice this for others pays off in the end, personally. Edit, my daughter is 11, let's chill with the name calling, people. Not the butthole, I like your approach. But your daughter needs a reality check. She does not get to call the food you and your wife make gross because she's pissy about not getting the restaurant food. She needs to learn a thing or two about misdirected anger and its consequences. Not the butthole. Greater than his younger sister said that wasn't fair, because she likes the restaurant food. What have likes and dislikes to do with fair? She needs to have fairness and entitlement explained to her. Not the butthole. No one is entitled to his leftovers. They're his leftovers, he paid for them, and he gets to decide who gets them, if anyone. If he wants to use them as payback for normal, everyday favors, like chores, then that's his prerogative. It also doesn't help your wife's case any that your daughter was incredibly rude in her refusal. It's not her problem he's tired? Well, It's not his problem she's hungry. Not the butthole. And it sounds like your working son is not the butthole as well. The sister said his being tired was not her problem. Well, her not liking your food and wanting his restaurant food is not your son's problem. One hand washes the other. You can't be a dick to someone and expect them to be nice to you. Am I the butthole wasting money on a bathroom and not helping my brother? My 10th anniversary is coming up and my kids are getting old enough to be a pain in the butt regarding our single bathroom. I have been saving up and for my 10th anniversary I am getting a bathroom installed in the basement. I am going all out. Well, as all out as I can afford. I am getting a 2-person tub with jets, in-floor heating and a heat lamp so my wife can dry off and stay warm. Anyways, the issue is that my brother is having money problems. He called me and asked if I could spare any money to help him out. He has a tendency to live beyond his means. We have similar jobs and salaries, but he has a huge house with 3.5 bathrooms. He drives a $150,000 truck that he will never use to tow, haul, or go off-road with. His wife's engagement ring cost as much as my motorcycle. My family lives in a bungalow my wife and I bought. It was built in 1956 and it is cozy for us and 2 kids. But my mom constantly compare our lifestyles. She loves showing people pictures of his Christmas decorations and stuff. And she shares his vacation pictures. That sort of thing. The bathroom budget is $25,000, but it will probably go higher when the contractor starts working. My mom is backing him up. She says that I don't spend any money so I should have some saved to help out family. She is saying he might have to sell his truck or downsize his home. I told her that's not really my problem. He makes a little more than I do a year so he should have savings too. She said that he needs to have a big house so he can entertain since he wants to kiss ass all the way up the ladder. That might just be my interpretation. I don't want to lend him money and watch him waste it and be disappoint my wife. She deserves a bathroom where she can take long baths without the kids, or me interrupting to use the toilet. I could cut corners and lend him some money, but I really don't want to do that. Even if it means he has to sell his stuff. Could be the fact that I desperately want a second bathroom, but not the butthole. All the reasons you cited are additional points for why you're not the butthole, but ultimately even without any mitigating factors your savings are yours and you don't owe anyone a loan, or gift, since it sounds unlikely he'd be able to pay you back. Not the butthole. It will probably go higher when the contractor starts working. It will absolutely go higher. We were quoted right around $20,000 for our bathroom reno and, let's just say that number steadily creeped up when we realized that old plumbing is a literal nightmare on earth that very rarely meets code/current standards. She is saying he might have to sell his truck or downsize his home. As he should. Those are both options that grown adults would do, rather than expecting their lives to be funded by siblings. It is beyond time for your brother to learn to live within his means, not his and whatever he can bum off of you and other family members. Edit, thanks for the award. Not the butthole. Downsizing his truck isn't the same as needing food to live because something unexpected happened. Get the bathroom. It's quality of life. Am I the butthole for telling my kid's stepdad that he had no business signing school forms? My ex married Ross a few years ago. He has full custody of his son who is 9. My ex and I have 3 boys who are 7, 9 and 13 boys. The boys get along with each other. I put in the same as my ex and Ross is into getting along with me. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. I have 50-50 custody of my kids and if we're doing something fun, I'd invite Ross's son to tag along. That's the limit of my involvement with his kid. I'm pretty involved with my kids' school and was wondering when they were going to start the puberty talk with my 9-yo's class. My 13-yo had already started it. I asked my son's teacher and he said they're starting next month. I mentioned that I'd like to see the material before I sign the permission slip and he said that it was already signed. I said I did not sign anything. Ross did. I gave him the benefit of the doubt that maybe there was some mistake. There wasn't. He said he signed the permission slip for my son and his son. I asked why and he asked me if I was joking. I said I wasn't. He said that he didn't think anything of it. He signs them out at school, is an emergency contact, gives the 7-yo a bath, cooks for them and both boys had asked him questions. If he does all that, then how is signing off on puberty class such a big deal? He just signed them when he went through their homework folder. Yes, my ex knew about it. He told me that he felt totally comfortable doing it. I told him he shouldn't feel comfortable with it. I wanted to know what was going to be discussed and have a discussion before and after he got the puberty talk at school. He said, you know, your son told and showed me things that are happening to his body and I wouldn't be mad if you talked to my kid about puberty. It's okay. Then my ex and I got into it. She said I can't pick and choose what Ross does as a stepdad. So I rescinded the permission slip and they're calling me petty. I hate that our kids feel that tension, but oh well. You're the butthole because of your last sentence that you rescinded the permission slip. You did that with the sole purpose of being petty and put your child in the middle of this disagreement, and your response is oh well. Your ex was aware Ross signed the permission slip. Would you have acted so childish if it were her signature on the slip? You're the butthole. The fact that the kid brought it to Ross should tell you that he wasn't comfortable bringing it to you, or that the kid regarded it as a non-issue. Greater than, so I rescinded the permission slip and they're calling me petty. To what end? The person this impacts is your son. That's who you're currently messing with. Is there something so objectionable in the material that you thought this was a good idea, and if so, what? Am I the butthole for unintentionally embarrassing my nephew in front of his friends because I found his stash of urine bottles? Backstory: my nephew is 17 and has lived with us since he was 9. He came from my wife's eldest sister. He's never really had respect for me. I believe it's due to our age gap. I'm 30. He doesn't see me as an authoritative figure. He was held back in school before he came to live with us. He will graduate when he's 19 and says he's immediately moving out after graduation. We put him in therapy at 9, but by 13 he completely refused to go anymore. Yesterday, I came home from work and my daughter, 8, was upset because she couldn't find her kitten after she got in from school. We looked for probably about 20 minutes, finally discovered he had gotten stuck in my nephew's room. I found him under the bed, up against the wall. The only way I could grab him is if I moved the bed. When I did, I found 23 bottles that had urine in them. Yes, I counted. I put a pair of gloves on and lined them up in the middle of his room. With it being Monday, it wasn't usual for him to walk in the door with his friends. Normally, they come over a few hours after school lets out. But lo and behold, he got home with 2 friends yesterday. I was helping my wife with something in her home office. I didn't even know he had people with him. He opened his bedroom door and screamed. Probably from embarrassment, the other 2 kids dipped out. My intentions were to keep it between him and I, but later discuss it with my wife because I do strongly think he needs therapy again. Maybe it's just laziness, maybe it's not. He called me every name in the book, said I should have left them under the bed and told him to clean it out. The way he is, if it wasn't in his face he wouldn't do it. I asked him why would he be urinating in bottles when there's a bathroom directly across from his room. He told me to go FCK myself, then said he's sick of having to walk over our daughter's underwear in the shared bathroom. I opened the bathroom door to find not a single article of clothing on the floor. My wife also confirmed, she consistently uses her hamper and doesn't find clothes on the bathroom floor. I asked him to get a trash bag and dispose of the bottles. He instead walked out of the house and left. This afternoon, the bottles are still sitting in the middle of his room. I have told my wife do not touch them, he is to take care of it. Apparently, he told his grandfather what I did. Father-in-law asked me. So where'd he learn that from? Not from me, that's nasty. My father-in-law further said, that's not a need for a counselor, he needs his own bathroom. Oh okay, sure, so we'll just send our daughter to do her business in the backyard. Not the butthole, the kid obviously has problems, but basic human boundaries have to be maintained. Naturally he's embarrassed, but it was his doing. Your father-in-law's attempt to blame someone else for his behavior is concerning. Not the butthole. He was definitely lashing out from shame. This sounds like compulsory hoarding behavior, but I'm not a doctor. Contact a therapist now and start discussing ways to approach this subject because it's going to be rough going for a bit. That's not a need for a counselor, he needs his own bathroom. Correct me if I'm wrong, but your father-in-law sounds like the kind of person who refuses help because it's for crazy people. How can anyone defend this kid's actions? 2 years till he's off on his own, he needs therapy and good guidance. Not the butthole. But good lord, that's nasty. Perhaps his grandfather would be willing to take him until he graduates?